I've played the Guild Wars franchise since I was 5. I'm 26 now, so I have 21 years of off and on experience in Tyria, totaling over almost 7,000 hours of my life. And I think it's the only investment where I can truly say I don't regret a second. From Guild Wars 1's strategic combat system that still, to this day, hasn't been replicated well enough, Guild Wars 1 Remaster when, I would chill, to Guild Wars 2's overall accessibility, keeping the creativity that made the original great, with its much more action-oriented combat system, which really shines with Action Camera. And even though it was a later edition, I literally wouldn't play without it at this point, so I hope it makes it into Guild Wars 3. But tying both together is something I find is getting lost more and more as time goes on. Community. In the old world, God, it feels weird saying that, most of us used MMOs as an escape. Guild Wars 1 and WoW were legendary games for their time, because they had nothing to compete against them, and were they launched now, they might struggle to even gain traction. But back then, they were the perfect vehicle for us antisocial people to be able to actually gain the confidence to talk to people. You could build a reputation on servers and in guilds. Whether good or bad was up to you, but you could feel like you mattered in the world on an individual level. Something that I feel has been actively stripped out more and more in service of a broader appeal. WoW went from a game where I would join level 19 locked private servers and have a sense of community, to a version of retail that will ostracize you if you don't dedicate your life to it. Low mythic key rating? Kicked. Low Threesa rating? Kicked. Low Archon score? Kicked. Low Raider IO? Kicked. Low gold? No sub for you. No money? Go work at Taco Bell until you can pay for your subscription to see your friends who will ostracize you for not keeping up with them in the first place. Kicked. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been a world-class player before. Quite literally, in some Blizzard games, funnily enough. So I can reach any achievement I would need to get invited to or to join these things. But for every player like me who can, is 20 to 100 or more who can't even get close. And more importantly, shouldn't have to. I saw a masterfully made video called Why It's Rude to Be Bad at World of Warcraft. Yeah. I won't detail it here, but I would suggest you watch it. But the title itself shows exactly what I mean. Places of inclusivity. And I don't mean forced inclusivity, because we've all seen the damage that shit's done to games these days. Games designed with a people-first mentality are now overrun with AI bots, ironically enough, and people who will actively put people last, if you even make it onto their scoreboard. And in some sense, it's a natural product of the environment. Bosses in WoW have enrage timers and berserk windows, PvP rewards are locked behind raiding, mythic keystone rank dictates rewards, and not clearing a key bricks it. The ability to get pissed off because Timmy's in your squad has been built in over the years as a feature, because rage is an emotion that gaming psychologists can capitalize on. God, just reading that sentence as I wrote this script made me realize the fucking dystopia we're in. So why do I bring this up? Why is this even worth talking about? Well, A, it's my channel and I'll write what I want, but B, because I found Guild Wars 2 to be, out of everything I've played in the most recent years, the only game that truly values humanity as a part of the core gameplay loop. Guild Wars 2 has so much in-game positivity surrounding it, it's almost the antithesis, try saying that 3 times fast, to World of Warcraft. Where WoW is toxic elitism, Guild Wars 2 pushes into toxic positivity. Both have their upsides and downsides, but toxic positivity only affects you negatively if you have a divisive opinion. Which, trust me, I have many, but they help to push the algorithm in my favor. Whereas for the average player, you'll, instead of finding a road full of roadblocks in World of Warcraft, you'll find a village full of welcoming people in Guild Wars 2. They might be snakes wearing a mask, but if they never take it off in front of you, does it really matter? And even the toxic ones are a small subset of the community that I actively get to watch get ratioed in my like-dislike results. But why is this. Guild Wars 2 is what I would call the perfect sandbox. It does something completely unthinkable to other games. It asks you to make your own goals. It's beyond stupid to the outside eye, don't get me wrong, but beyond legendary in practice. It makes a fucking pair of pants a journey that feels worthwhile. To outside players, I must sound like a lovesick crackhead at this point, but to Guild Wars 2 players, you all know the struggle of Trench Coat Wars 2 and No Pants Light Armor. They aren't things the developers planned for, but they're emergent stories chosen by you. Maybe trench coats don't bother you. Well, then that's not your quest. Maybe you irrationally hate pants like a true Scotsman. Then different opportunities will present themselves for you, if you let them. Now couple this with emergent cooperative gameplay baked in from moment one via public events that, so long as everyone helps, you get credit for. And you have a community that has been conditioned from the start to be helpful from the inception of the game. Millions of people undergoing their own journeys who have been conditioned to work together through game mechanics. They won't kick Timmy. The only systems built in that have some sort of artificial barrier are fractals and fucking Greer. That's it. Greer is a raid boss from the Janthier Wilds expansion, which at the time of this is the most recent, although we have a new expansion on the horizon. That, as far as I know, is the first implementation of an enrage mechanic, where after 10 minutes, you auto-die. Yeah, great berserk mechanic. On a fight that requires you to run between bosses, which burns time and movement, you then need to have good enough DPS to beat the timer. It's a new inclusion, so I won't give them too much flack for experimentation, but this has to go, and shouldn't be the design going forward. As a final boss, maybe. But as a boss too, you're hard-locking the community out of progressing the raid if they don't bring good enough builds, or players. Which feeds the problem. This is what happened to World of Warcraft. The raid I was with brought them down to 25%, and had mastered the mechanics to the point no one died. Until the enrage. Meaning without the timer, we killed it through practice and improvement as a team. Which is a community building exercise. That was thwarted by a timing window. And fractals. My favorite game mode in Guild Wars 2. That they won't let me play. Fractals are like mythic keys, except you won't get kicked from them. In my recent survival guide, I literally went into T4 fractals, the highest tier, on a class and spec I had never played, without a finished elite spec line, and speedran them with an LFG squad in record time. The only gatekeeping to fractals is the agony system, which is a built-in progression system, and challenge modes. I actually quite like their implementation of challenge modes, because I can avoid them altogether and still get crazy good rewards from just doing my daily T4s. However, what I do have a problem with is the daily system itself, for two reasons. One, it disincentivizes you from playing more fractals. Once you do your dailies, that's it. No more dungeons for you until the next day's reset, because the rewards are so good for the little time investment that they stack them all there, instead of actually giving them from the dungeons themselves. And two, because of this daily system, ArenaNet shoot themselves in the foot. For example, with the most recent expansion, they added the Kinfall fractal, and a Wizard's Vault exclusive mission to do 5 of them. Which could literally never get completed in the 90-day window if Kinfall doesn't show up during the daily rotation at least 5 times, because groups simply won't run it. Yes, sure, you can make T1 groups or specific targeted, etc., but you understand my point, right? It makes new fractal integration arguably pointless. Now they say with Visions that they're gonna do some quality of life updates, and my hope is this. That they make fractals and dungeons into a repeatable game mode you can queue for. Like how they did with ranked PvP. You hit Q, and you can land in any fractal from difficulty 1 to 100, so long as you have the agony resistance. As well as you can throw core dungeons in there so they aren't forgotten. Make the rewards unified from every dungeon, like, 3 to 5 fractal encryptions scaling with difficulty for killing the final boss, and make it infinitely queuable. You can then add any fractals and wind up landing them anytime you want through the randomization queue. You remove the My Trin farm and the old Molten Boss farms that people are continually doing that prove that, shocker, they want to play the fucking game mode. And you can still keep the LFG as a separate option. If you want to do it manually, then you can go through that for groups or challenge modes. This would let veteran players help newer players and still get rewards, and it would lower the barrier to entry to fractals across the board. Make it so you can't queue into fractals above your agony resistance, and you don't wind up with T1 Timmy doing T4 Sunqua to avoid the toxicity that would result in, and you'll be fine. And to round out, in the top of fractals, T4 fractals, there's an add-on that some people use called Arc DPS. It's a DPS meter, like Recount, but the wide acceptance is you're toxic for using. This all doesn't even begin to cover the root of my point, however, which is just how willing people are to help you or talk to you. In WoW, because of how fast you can get kicked or ostracized, you get anxiety from pressing enter. But that simply doesn't exist here. I've had drunk guys screaming, "We will crush you!" in my World vs. World Zergs. I've had furries RP in map chat in my Dragonstorm. I met someone I knew from IRL work in-game because I was commanding an event in map chat, and he recognized my name from my YouTube channel because I wore my own merch at work. People in Guild Wars 2 will not only talk to you, but most importantly, help you. Call it indoctrination, call it toxic positivity, but does it really matter if in a world of ostracization and competitive nature, someone's finally fucking nice to you? Conditioning for cooperation, toxic for comparison, individualistic journeys, and very little content lockouts for the average player make Guild Wars 2 a game that reshapes how you look at people. And yes, I crap on ArenaNet a lot from a place of love, but they've done something remarkable with their franchise that no one else has. They've made it so your teammates aren't someone who drags you down, but someone you can elevate through your own knowledge. And in that same process, you might just make a real friend and a true name for yourself. Oh yeah, and in that 7,000 hours, I've never killed Zaitan. I never finished Nightfall. Meaning in 21 years, I've never finished either game.